Hi, Virgo. Why don't we shuffle? Take a deep breath. Okay. So we're feeling a little bit stuck, perhaps imprisoned by our fate is the feeling. Hangman energy, major arcana guidance. First up, the road sign says you're at a dead end. What do you want to do? There's only a few choices, right? When you run into a dead end, when you don't pay attention to the sign and you just keep driving and then all of a sudden you're at a dead end, right? Or a cul-de-sac and there's just one house there and there's nowhere to go and it's definitely not where you thought you were going. So what do you do when you reach that hangman awareness of like, whoa, I just drove into a dead end? Because until you're there and you see it because you've missed the sign, you don't know. Now that moment where you become aware of where you are, what options do you have? You can turn around and go back the way you came. That requires a certain level of humility, just maybe admitting that you got lost. You know, the Virgo mind is like, well, then I'll have to drive past all the people that saw me come down this dead end road. True. But what's the alternative? Staying here so you're not embarrassed? You know? Okay, another option is going into one of the houses, if there's any there, and asking for directions. Although you know they're going to tell you to turn around and go back the other way. That's kind of the thing about dead ends. There's only one way out, right? That's why it's a dead end, right? So you kind of have to go back the way you came. Enter Mercury retrograde. So we're a couple of days into it. How do you feel? We already know how you feel. Ooh. You've been waiting for me to ask how you feel. I'm sorry, I didn't ask yet. I didn't ask because I know you're not feeling too good. The moon and the devil. So, just had a full moon in Gemini last night. And we have all this energy gathering in Saturn, in Capricorn. So Gemini is going to bring up for you all the places where your communication left you in a vulnerable position. Things you shouldn't have said, things that you're just mulling over everything. I can't believe I didn't take that opportunity. I should have never said that. I can't believe I ever did this. And you're just going down basically like a list of abuses against yourself that you've partaken in. And you're being really hard on yourself. And then the Cancer full moon at the end of December, as the sun moves into Capricorn. So the end of December for you really comes in and highlights this hanged man energy and perhaps becomes the catalyst for you to move into a new state. It is time, and it does require a letting go. It feels like everything's falling apart. The devil is all about karma. The moon is about showing you the truth. The truth and the karmic retribution of that. You feel like there's nowhere to run. The hangman is about being caught. And there is hope in this, only it's hard to read. Mind you, it's all major arcana, so it's all trying to get through to you. But the messages are just, they're extreme. Like, you're going to see the truth, and you have to be realistic about it, and you have to cut off what needs to be cut off. It is a season of endings. You may find that you just can't do it anymore. Like with the lies or with the addiction or with the whatever it is. You just can't. Or you may find that you can't with your own confusion. Because now all of a sudden you're going back and rethinking things that you thought you were really, really sure about. And wait, did that actually happen like that? Or how do I actually feel? Or why have I been convinced that I didn't feel anything for years and now all of a sudden I feel? It's very, very confusing. And in the midst of this confusion, you're being asked to make major changes. And we know how slowly you like to move. We know that that's not the way you like to do things. So, someone handing you a sword when you're in the Seven of Cups confusion and saying, okay, we'll start making some cuts now. It's Michael in the office handing it over to Dwight when he has to change the medical plan. He can't do it. He can't do it. He can't cut people off. He can't cut the wrong people off, or he's just not a very good manager, right? Because he wants to be everybody's friend and he wants to be liked and he wants people to like him. I'm just saying. And then 10 of Pentacles. So I was going to bring this up too. It is a series of endings, but only so these new beginnings can start. And I feel like some of you are early and you're already on your new beginnings and you've met your new person already and you're moving forward and you're making plans and weddings are being arranged and, babies might already be on the way. You might be having a second child. You might be getting talked into having a second child if you're not necessarily keen on one. But for those Virgos who are already established in their relationships, things are moving great. And the Ace of Swords energy is about you seeing during the full moon what you need to fix within yourself, what parts of you need to go, what parts of you cause the emotional confusion. When the sun goes into Capricorn, there's going to be a new fire under you because it pours into you, right? The earth energy, and you need it. It will be a time of renewal for you. In Sag season, it really is about getting through the first part of it. By like the 15th of December, you'll definitely feel better, but the next few weeks, it's a lot of up and down. And we know you don't like that. Of course you don't like that. But it will lead to 10 of Pentacles, another type of fruition. It may not be, Virgo, the way you wanted it, but it will definitely be better for you. And ultimately, what is better for you is what you need, because you're not doing a very good job right now of being good to you. That's very obvious to me. The Hangman energy, you're allowing yourself to stay there. You could always just turn around and leave. But there's something, your pride is holding you there. And the moon and the sun, when they move, they're going to really show you where it is that you need to let, because your pride makes you easy to manipulate is the thing, Like, if people know that you're not going to admit that you were wrong, that's a pretty telling thing to know about someone. You can do a lot with that. You can manipulate people in a lot of ways if you know that they'll never have the ability or the humility to say that they did something wrong, that they weren't the smartest person in the room. And I think that's what's got you stuck and hung upside down, is your own inability to say, hey, things are really falling apart. For those of you Virgos who are reaching out to your friends and leaning on them and saying, hey, I'm not doing well, good for you. Now, I mean friends. If you don't really know these people, do not trust them. It's a weird time because you're going through a lot, but you can't really trust anybody right now. So you can't really talk to many people, but if you have people you really, really trust, okay, talk to them, talk to somebody, because the season you're in right now is too difficult to just do the Virgo thing and ignore it and keep working and it'll be all right. You need to say it. Now, that's all very relationship based. So let's look at this from a work standpoint. Do you feel stuck at work? Do you feel like there are things that people need to know about the reality of where they're working and you're the one to bring that to light? You may really feel that way by the end of the month. Do you feel like you need to quit your job? I wouldn't do so quite yet because you're real cloudy until after the 15th. And you should just take it easy. I know you don't want to, but you should. And then Knight of Pentacles. What are those things in your life where you're just moving way too slow? You know you're moving too slow, but your pride won't let you speed up. You gotta get a handle on that. You gotta get a handle on it. If you're not being slow out of practicality and pragmatism, and you're being slow just out of stubbornness, it's gonna backfire. And you know, you're that sign when things finally backfire on you, you just don't get it. It's really hard to make you see how what has happened because of what you did. It's so weird because it's so logical, and everyone outside of a Virgo's life can be like, no, but don't you see how it happened because you did this? And Virgos are like, no, how does that have anything to do with anything? And everyone in the room will just be like, well, it has everything to do with everything. I mean, it's all connected, right? So there are these like moments where you guys just lose all that ability to be really practical and really pragmatic when it comes to you. And this month, you know, the planets, they're like, nope, I want to show you something about yourself. Come here. You feel bad. You feel like everything's falling apart. Let me show you why. And when you start to play the Virgo game and say, no, actually, Moon, you know, that's not how it happened. Actually, what had happened was, and the Moon's going to be like, no, Cancer Moon. A Virgos and a Cancer full moon are like, don't say nothing. Just listen. And it will show you. It will finally show you if you are still confused about why things are going the way they are. Cancer full moon, December 22nd, will show you what you've been doing from the outside. That's the other thing about Michael on The Office. He doesn't get how he looks from the outside. That's what's so funny about him. He has no self-awareness. It's really lovable. It makes him wonderful, actually. Scorpio card. Okay, so Scorpio, if you are interested in a Scorpio, with a Scorpio, talking to a Scorpio, wanting to marry a Scorpio, it's looking very nice. And the better you're getting in your situation, wait a minute, the better things are getting in that situation. Just keep working on self. Keep at it, keep at it, keep at it. If it's a fire sign, it's looking difficult. It's looking difficult. If you have Libra placements, there's a lot of lies coming up and out, right? There's a lot of truth coming out. Maybe about you, maybe because of you. And then underneath that, the Fool. So this is also a mini reading. I feel like you guys needed that. But because just you can't like leave someone with like, okay, the sun and the moon is going to do this, and then you're going to be confused. Ta-da, there's your reading. No, I think actually this other part is your reading. This is all stuff we kind of knew already, but we needed to like be like, okay, where are we at? This is the temperature of like, so this is where Virgos are. Okay, we know that. That first Hangman card just jumping out, we already know. We know where you're at. Now the rest of this is where you're going. So if you're dealing, like I said, with a Scorpio and you're thinking love and marriage and all the things, that's looking really, really good. Let that Scorpio come to you. You see that Scorpio on that horse? Let him drive up to you. Leave that alone. You know they only like to do things the way they like to do them anyway. You can't get them to do anything anyway. The best way to get a Scorpio to do anything is to not ask them. And then 7 of Swords and the Justice card. The pain with the Libra. Man, Libra Virgo, when it goes wrong, it can be so painful because there are just certain things about Libras that I feel, you know, 7 of Swords kind of stuff that I feel like you guys, you're not down with it. It's a certain type of funny that you guys pick up on and you're like, I don't like that fake shit. So there's that. And then 9 of Swords, Queen of Wands, and the Fool. So with that fire energy, you're really trying to jump out of that situation. You may not have realized what that situation really was. Or that fire, Leo, Aries, Sag energy has you just feeling really, really bad because that person needed to be walked away from. And either they did the walking or you did it, but you were just as broken up about it. There's all this stuff that just, it's like, for Virgos, it feels like something falls and you're like, oh, the ceiling is falling. That sucks. And then the ceiling falls and then something else falls and you're like, okay, is it raining now? And then, and then something hits you and it's like, okay, is it hailing now? And then something else hits you and you're like, okay, is the sky falling now? Like, how many things can fall before it starts to bounce back and get better? And I think the reason the moon and the devil card came up the way they did is like, you have a few more weeks of this feeling like everything is being taken apart before you start to get clarity about why and what it is that we can restructure because of this falling down. So, see it as a positive. And like I said, if you're already in an established thing and you're not in the 7 of Cups energy about anything, then you've experienced this already and you know this and you've already worked through it and you've found your 10 of Pentacles, 2 of Cups space, and you're feeling really good about yourself. 9 of Pentacles, you have someone coming into your life, the Scorpio card, that's like loves you completely. And yet there's some of you who thought that you were in very committed relationships and you realized that you are not, or that person was not acting the way you thought committed people should act. And that could be a fire energy, or it could be this Libra. It could just be air in general. Air is being really sharp with the Virgos. Because I think that I think the reason Virgos can be so dismissive of air energy, I totally get why. Because there is, when you cut away at a Virgo, if you cut deep enough, they're going to bleed. You will bleed. You are mutable earth. You are human. You're a human, mutable earth. That's a human. The earth takes shape and moves around and does things. You're a human, that's why the virgin, so if you cut a human, especially an innocent human, which is what you're supposed to be, right? Virgin, innocent human, a priestess. If you cut a human, they bleed, and so Virgos just go off the supposition of I am earth and so are other people, and so if you cut other people, they also bleed. And then you cut an air sign and you hit steel. And there's always this jarring moment for Virgos when they realize that air signs are incomprehensible to mutable earth, because mutable earth is so emotional. It's so connected. It's so nature loving. It's so body based, so for you guys to conceive of an entire group of signs that don't bleed, if you cut an Aquarius deep enough, they'll cut you back before you ever get to whatever's under there, right? If you cut a Libra deep enough, you'll just encounter another Libra. How many of them are you going to cut? If you cut a Gemini deep enough, there's ice flowing out of their veins. Yes, of course we have feelings. And as a Gemini myself, I'm saying yes, of course we have feelings. But when you go at us, really go at us and try to get us to the bone, what you encounter is a steely resistance that, Virgo just doesn't have it. And so you may be feeling outwitted somehow, but not outwitted, but the morality of others allows them to do things that puts you at a disadvantage. And so there are many different sorts of things crumbling around you. It's very difficult to keep track of how many different aspects of life can start to unravel at the same time. And there might be a lot of you who are just thinking, oh, it would be wonderful to just be able to tie up some loose ends, just any loose ends, just so there weren't so many live wires all over the place. But Uranus is doing this zigzag between Aries and Taurus. And remember, Taurus is an earth sign. So you're having these waves of electricity that are now being pushed and pulled, and it's all affecting you. All of it is affecting you. Everything that's going on in Capricorn, everything that's going on in Capricorn's 12th house is affecting you. So you have, and then you have all these planets and mutable signs, and you're just sitting there getting all of it from all the other mutables going, why are you guys pouring all this down on me? Like, my infrastructure cannot handle this. And they don't seem to care. And you may in general be having this vibe of like, why don't people seem to care how much they're putting on me? I feel like stuck just under the weight of how much is put. Well, yeah, that's what the planets are doing to you right now. So try not to take it too personally. Try not to slip into despair by taking it all at the reality face value and saying, okay, this is what it is. It may be what it is in the moment, but it will change. Within 2 weeks, you will begin to feel better. I know you haven't felt better in a minute. I get it. But you will. You will start to feel better. Will there be an interim between then and now where you've got to confront some difficult truths? Yes. Will some of them take you years to actually absorb and process? Sure. Does that process start now, and should it start now? Yes, of course. Good. Don't worry. Don't worry. Oh, I know you guys are not doing well. I know it. I can feel it. I can feel it from every Virgo I know. And you're trying so hard to maintain. And I respect it so much, but I know you're not doing well. And this Sag season just seems like another, gut punch, like just stay in bed. But it will get better. The confusion will lift. You'll stop feeling foggy. You'll stop feeling like every little thing hurts so bad. And what does it mean? And oh God, when's the next thing gonna fall? All of this will begin to subside. It's all going on up there. Yes, you are paying for it, but just keep it in perspective and remember that the planets will shift, everything will change, and right now, unfortunately, Virgo has gotten caught under the wheel. You're getting crushed under the universe's wheel right now. It happens to everyone at some time. Ask a Gemini you knew, a few years ago, and they'll tell you, we've been there too. It happens. And it's happening, and it will be over, and it will be great, and we have a lot to look forward to. So let me show you that part so we can move forward. I love you. Don't worry. Hi. So, are you avoiding this reading? Are you avoiding watching this reading? Or did you avoid watching this reading as much as I was avoiding making the second part? Maybe. There is that Virgo moon similarity. So, why the apprehension in watching it? Or in doing the second part here and explaining it? Well, because it's not easy to talk to someone who's already stressed about perhaps the source of the stress, and perhaps now is not the best time to have conversations about responsibility. It's just kind of sucks to be that person. But thankfully, it's not just me. The sun moves into Capricorn at the end of December. Moon moves into Cancer in its own sign. Lots of things are home. Lots of planets are home. And usually what that means is a righting of the construct, a righting of the wrongs, if you will. It's karmic. You may feel hung up until then. Maybe a time of trial and waiting. until the 22nd of December. So during this time, what can you do? What can work to your benefit? There's a few things that are going to come up in retrograde, things that could have been, might have been, should have been, I don't know. Feeling a bit nostalgic, not really your thing, but here we are. It's been a couple of retrogrades in a row, right? Like Venus and now Mercury. Of course, you're feeling a little nostalgic. And a lot of this is tinged with guilt, but also blame. You're blaming yourself for stuff a lot. Now, if you're not involved with a Scorpio, someone you know, maybe, and it's someone that you hold in pretty high regard, Nine of Pentacles. And this may be adding to your irritation, sadness, just overall discomfort. Because it may feel like everyone around you is partnering up, and yet you can't seem to find the balance. To be honest, hasn't it felt kind of off since your season? I feel like the dip you guys took during Virgo season, it's like for some of you, it just didn't let up. Now, others of you are planning, like I said, big things and moving forward, and you may just be experiencing some minor setbacks, and then, by the end of December, you're rolling again. Again, like I said, if you are dealing with a Scorpio, things are looking very positive. They want to be possessive. You want to be possessed. Great. The confusion may still come in terms of which you is you moving forward. You get to choose which you want to be. There's the charming you that you can be when you want to win someone over, and everyone has one of those. But with you guys, it's pretty compelling. And so when people see the other side of that coin, it can be a bit shocking. It can seem like duplicity. It's not really. It's just you're amicable, you're agreeable. And then when you guys are in your heads and overthinking and upset, you're not agreeable. And somehow I feel like the world wants you to still, in spite of, put on a good show for us, smile for the cameras. And it can be hard, as we can see here. The Justice card here is that karmic factor I was talking about, and how things, the Tao represented here by the scales and things always evening out, the balance finding itself. And in that balance finding itself, geez Louise, there is some pain, perhaps some loss, but also Sagittarius season is a time of new beginnings. And if used properly, you can achieve these new beginnings. Like I said before, if you are specifically with water signs, that new beginning may be closer than you can imagine. If you are involved with a Libra that has been very deceitful, first of all, I'm sorry. And I can see that that's something that you will now grow from. And someone, the opposite of this will now make its way into your life. If you are a Virgo with Libra placements, it is so difficult right now to make sense of what is happening to you. You feel stuck between, well, not just a rock and a hard place, just everywhere. You just feel stuck. But the way out may be too frightening to entertain. I don't know if there is a more terrifying card to the Virgo mind than whatever the hell it is that this guy thinks he's doing here. I mean, look at it through your Virgo eyes. What is he doing? Really, what's he doing? Is he crazy? He's gonna fall right off that cliff and break his neck. You know it. And that cliff, you see that's an ocean. There's roaring waves down there. He's not even looking down. He doesn't even know he's gonna fall off. But that's the magic of the Fool card. That's the magic, excuse me, of Self-esteem, faith, faith in oneself, faith in a higher power, all of it. All of it. You find in this fiery season the I am again. And maybe you need to go through the fire a little bit to figure out who you're not so you can know who you are. To figure out perhaps you were something that you had no idea about and now it's just coming to you. It's just being brought to your attention how you are perceived. Like I said, I understand the freeze there. But don't get stuck. If you feel like you're going to get stuck, remember what I'm saying. There's no point in seeing something unfavorable about oneself and then just staying there and not being able to get past it. Nothing good is going to come of that. The season is about seeing what's there, the reality. You know, Sagittarius season puts it clear out there. You can see far because of where the sun is. You can see far and you can see detail and you can see forever. It's just this even light. You get the opportunity to see much further than we can see in this snapshot here. You are being asked to adopt an attitude of blind faith. Not paying attention can look like that, and not paying attention can look like that. Which one do you want to be? Which one seems more appealing? Now, if you're saying, well, that one, because at least they're safe in their home, does that look safe? Think about it. In the extended, we're going to clarify the hangman, the moon, the devil. We're going to clarify all the major arcana, shuffle through them, and then we'll look at everything else. And of course, this here. Okay, we'll do it by sections. We'll clarify here, 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 and then we'll see. All right? Sometimes mutable earth gets dug up and the soil gets tilled, and it sucks, but it's for the health of the field. I don't know how much solace that is, but there it is. I love you guys. Keep your head up. I'll see you in the extended.